Well, it's time for me to address an issue that has sort of exploded across the country over the past couple of weeks. And that issue is Nick Fuentes in the Groyper movement. Groyper. Never heard that term until a few days ago. But I've been doing a deep dive into what Fuentes and his minions believe. And he's succeeded in using some kind of witchcraft to persuade a vast amount of young men in this country that he knows what he's talking about. So what does he believe? And why am I even interested in talking about this? Well, because I am very much concerned with the history of American conservatism, with the country. I mean, I've dedicated my life to studying American history and American intellectual history, American ideas. And this guy is rightly being canceled. Rightly. When I first encountered him, I was listening to his story, and I was thinking, oh man, oh yeah, he's got some good ideas. He's great. Why would anybody cancel him? What kind of country do we live in? Why would anybody cancel Nick Fuentes? Then I started to do a little bit more research. I was watching some of his videos, and my wife was present on the back porch as I was watching some of his stuff. And she couldn't handle it. And I can't even handle it anymore myself. The vile things that he has to say about women. The vile things that he has to say about the Jews as a people. The foul language. Since when did we become a country where this type of behavior is acceptable in conservative circles? Well, I think he's starting to learn that it's not acceptable in conservative circles. Every major conservative publication or organization or institution has rejected Nick Fuentes. And I want to contribute my little bitty voice to that same rejection. Here's the kind of things I'm hearing from his followers. I did a little experiment on this channel. I put a short up, I put a couple of posts up saying that I think this guy's a lunatic. And I did not know that I had so many people listening to me who also listened to him. So there needs to be a culling process. If you want to hang around and listen to what I have to say about Fuentes and what I have to say about conservatism, then you're welcome to stay. But if you are here simply, and you're already convinced that Fuentes is the savior of America, then I can assure you this is not the channel you want to pay attention to. If you're not willing to learn, if you're not willing to broaden your horizons and realize that just because you're a young man in your 20s, you don't have it all figured out. You do not. I know I was in my 20s and I thought I had it all figured out. I was wrong. I didn't. And I can see exactly how this is working. I can see how Fuentes is appealing to young men who are frustrated with the economy. They're frustrated with the government. They're frustrated with modern life. Well, have you thought about the fact that you're paying attention to a man who is making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of your support for him? Oh, he's not hurting at all. He is in a very good economic position. I watched his self-made documentary a few days ago where he explained how he was the most canceled man in America. And he was whining about the federal government taking $500,000 out of his bank account. $500,000. I'm sure he made it back. $500,000 at like 21, 22 years old. Yeah. You're following a man who is using you to make money off of you. That's what you're doing. I don't think he cares about you at all. I don't think he cares about the United States. I don't think he cares about this country. I think he is capitalizing upon your emotions to make money for himself. And why is this dangerous? Well, it reminds me a lot of how Hitler came to power. There have been many very knowledgeable, truly conservative people in various publications who have said, you know, there's just something wrong with a man saying that he's an admirer of Stalin, and there's something wrong with a man saying that Hitler is just a cool guy. You know how Hitler came to power in 1933, became Chancellor of Germany? He capitalized upon economic and political instability. He used propaganda to gain influence among the young people in Germany. So in 1933, he becomes Chancellor. By the time he invades Poland in September of 1939, his largest group of supporters were young men who were coming of age during the 1930s. These were people dedicated to him beyond all measure, loyal beyond measure. And what I'm hearing from the people who support Fuentes is platitudes. I don't hear any argument that is based in independent thought. I hear a regurgitation of what you're learning from a 27-year-old upstart in Chicago. This individual has no wife, no children, no responsibilities, no idea about the challenges and rewards that come with being a father. There's a reason the Constitution of the United States makes it impossible for a person to be the executive if you're not 35 years or older. There's not enough experience yet. It doesn't. So here's what I've been told by the sycophantic mob who's following Nick Fuentes. One person told me the Constitution is useless and that it's no better than a piece of toilet paper. I'm going to wipe my ass with it. I hate to use that language right now, but that's exactly what he said. Another person told me that it's my fault and it's the millennial generation's fault that these Zoomers don't have good jobs. They're not able to buy houses. It's my fault. Sorry, but it's not my fault that you're a loser. It's not my fault that you haven't carved a path for yourself. I don't have anything to do with that. You think that just because you are in your 20s, that you think that your generation is the only one that has problems, that you're the only people who have to go through suffering? You're the only ones who know what suffering is all about? You just live a little longer and you'll learn exactly what suffering really means. So what I see is a new kind of prejudice growing. And I want to do everything I can to stop it. There's this prejudice among young men in America against older people. It's your fault. This is the victimhood tactic that the left has used for the past several decades. It's somebody else's fault that I don't have what I want out of life. You start going down that road, and then you'll end up 40, 50, 60 years old, a sad, forlorn disappointment. It is nobody else's fault that you're not good enough to make a living, that you're not good enough to capitalize upon talents that you may very well have. Don't blame somebody else. Don't blame an entire generation of people for your problems. Nick Fuentes and his followers are a cancer within the conservative movement. They're not conservative at all. They are reactionary and revolutionary. If you're 27 years old and you have no desire to start a family, you think that all the women, this is what Fuentes said on Harrelson's interview. There's so many women, they're just feminists now. They're feminist. They're feminist. You know, my wife was listening to that when I was listening to it. And she took great offense. Buddy, if you want to attract a woman, you better start straightening up your act. You need an attitude adjustment. You won't never get married with that kind of attitude. I don't notice any large following of young, patriotic American women following Nick Fuentes. Is he a homosexual? Is that the problem that he has? It sounds to me like he's pretty well a homosexual. The things that he has said against women, against people in my generation, against Charlie Kirk, against Donald Trump. You know, Trump and Kirk got where they were because of hard work, because they genuinely loved the country. Fuentes is a vagabond. He doesn't love you. He loves himself. I watched a video of him a few days ago saying, I am the movement. I am the movement. Well, I know many of you sycophants who follow him believe that this is satire, that he's simply using a sense of humor. It's not humorous to say to your followers that they should rape and kill in the name of Nick Fuentes. I don't care if he was trying to be funny. You don't say stuff like that. You don't know the degree to which people who are listening to you may take that statement very seriously. I have yet to find anybody who is able to show me that Fuentes is interested in preserving the Constitution. If you're not interested in preserving the Constitution and the vision of the founders, the heritage that we have inherited, then you are not conservative. You are nothing. It's despicable. He's not interested in America first. He's not interested in Christianity. He is interested in making money off of whatever he has to say to please you so that he can make millions off of your support. I'm an admirer of Stalin, is what he told Tucker Carlson. Carlson should have pressed the issue. He shouldn't have said, well, we'll circle back to that. He should have said, tell me why you admire Stalin. Stalin told Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Winston Churchill that he had to liquidate 11 million of his own people. And he bragged about it. What astonishes me is the degree to which so many people have fallen for this bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't like using language like that, but I am so fed up with the degree to which young Americans have fallen for this. You have been persuaded by one man. You don't know history. You have not read anything. You don't know. You don't want to learn. You have not read or studied. If you have, how do you know that you've read correctly? How do you know that you received a proper and ordered education? Your generation is addicted to immediate gratification. I want what I want now. I want a big house. I want to be able to do this and do that. Well, it's not my fault. It's not the fault of my generation that you don't have what you want. What happened to good manners? What happened to well-mannered conversation? And I'm tired of hearing people say, well, that's how Generation Z talks. That's just how they communicate with one another. Well, you need a swift kick in the pants. You need to learn how to behave. You need to learn manners. You won't learn manners by living a life through internet personalities. You only learn manners by living life around older people who are able to tell you that you're acting stupid. You're no different than all the other people on the left who have been claiming victimhood and grievance for the past several decades, pointing their finger at everybody else for their own problems. Why are you looking for a handout? What do you want the government to do? What do you want people who are accomplished to do for you? What do you want? That's my question to these Generation Z people who are interested in Nick Fuentes. What do you want? Don't be surprised when somebody who's 40 or 50 years old gets a job and you don't because they're more experienced, more talented. Don't be mad about that. Figure out how to be more experienced and more talented yourself. And don't listen to the internet for knowledge and understanding. It's the handout generation is what this is. Oh, I've seen it. I've seen several people through the Generation Z saying, well, to hell with the Constitution. We're going to create a new America. Fuentes didn't vote in the last election, the general election, and he probably didn't vote in the last general election. I do not take anybody's opinions about American politics seriously if they choose not to vote. You have no right to have a political opinion at all if you think you are superior to the voting process. So you don't want to use voting to change the country. What is your plan? If you're not going to vote particular people that you appreciate into office, how are you going to create this so-called new America? What's the process? Somebody explain it to me. Because if you don't allow the voting process, then the only other way I can see that you're going to change America is to create an American-style Third Reich. And buddy, you got a big fight on your hands if you think that's what's going to happen. And I know that people think like that. I've had more than a few people call me on the phone, send me emails saying that Nazi Germany was a good idea. People who claim to be American conservatives. Nazi Germany was a good idea. There are people who believe that within the context of our current culture. You better be careful with that. Nobody is taking it seriously. Every major conservative outlet, the National Review, First Things, the Heritage Foundation, they finally got their act together. All of it. I don't see any, and you think, well, those are all mainstream publications. They don't listen to our pleas and our plight, us young men in our 20s. Golly. I was reading books about American history when most of you were still in your mama's womb. And you're going to tell me that what I have to say is irrelevant because I'm not in touch with the current generation. All right. Y'all think you got enough of experience. You think you're wise enough to make all the decisions you think you're going to be able to make decisions on a national level at that age. You got a wake-up call that can't come soon enough. Because it won't happen. You will not gain power. Groypers will not gain power. You are a cult. You will not do anything to change the culture of this country because you do not have a vision. You have a self-interest. That's it. You don't want a better America. You want what's best for you. And I reject it, and I will continue to reject it because it's false. It's evil. You need a swift kick in the pants is what you need. This is Alan Harrelson with the Pipe Cottage. Thank you for stopping by.